Well, going back to the book again, you mentioned the North. And one of the things I was fascinated about reading your book is you talked about the veto given to the North by the British when Nigeria was created. I got what I kind of understood what you meant, but for someone who doesn't understand what you mean, what do you mean by a veto that was given to the North?
When you structure a country in a manner that from the onset, you ensure that at every point in time, the number of seats in the Legislative Assembly would always be that the number in the South, that is a combination of the Eastern region back then and the Western region, or provinces as they were back then, or protectorate, you made sure that where the East had 16 members, the West had 16 members, the North had 32. So at every point in time, even with state creation, you find that that balance is critically maintained. Even in the face of serious demographic questions being asked, how can you have more people living in the desert space than towards the Atlantic coast? But that's why we cannot have a proper population census in our country. So these questions find themselves right at the root of Nigeria's problem. The veto is real. Today, you have 36 states in Nigeria. How many are in the north? How many are in the south? The balance is constantly maintained, and there is no empirical or scientific basis for doing so. It is simply a veto that has been handed over. Not that the people in whose name it was given have ever been the beneficiary of the veto. The beneficiaries have always been the ruling class, because it has always... don't use the word elite in relation to Nigerians. We don't have an elite class. We have a ruinous class.
Yes.
They are moneyed. I'm not arguing against the fact that they have money, but having money does not make you elite. It simply makes you moneyed. We don't have an elite class.
No, I do agree. I mean, I just feel like when I was reading your book, I think my question would be, why do you think the British did that then? Like, I can't see did they do that just out of spite for Nigeria?
I have an older friend, Dele Ogun. He's in Britain with you. Maybe you should talk to him. He's done appreciable work looking at what Britain has done to Nigeria and to West Africa, if not Africa as a whole. Essentially, it's about unenlightened, selfish interest. It didn't end then. It's an ongoing thing. Why would America want a strong Nigeria? Why would Britain want a strong Nigeria? You are a oil-producing country importing refined products, enriching the West, impoverishing yourselves. Why won't they be happy? The value chain that is lost in the petrochemical industry alone is more than what we make from the exportation of crude unrefined products. A single barrel of oil, a younger friend who works within the Dangote group gave me a breakdown once. I think he told me, as at that time, a barrel of oil was $70. And this young man explained to me that by the time he had done refining and taking out all the derivatives that comes from the crude after you've brought out your gasoline, brought out your diesel, brought out the lubes, you have so many things you bring out of that in reality, the true value of that $70 is over $1,000. Look at the difference between $70 and $1,000. Look at the number of employment opportunities that have been wasted, the opportunities to develop the economy, to enrich the people, to deepen wealth in our country, to reduce the poverty Look at all that has been lost. Why is it that these same people who are constantly bellyaching about democracy everywhere in the world have really ever had anything to say about our own democracy since they finally found their fat cats in power in Nigeria? So the thing we must understand is that nobody owes us a free lunch, but it is up to us to have a clear understanding of what is in our own enlightened selfish interest. The West have defined their own interest as our putrefaction. The more we destroy our own society, the quicker we send our best and brightest to the West. If they are not running into Canada, Australia, UK, America, people are running even into Hong Kong and things these days. So as far as the West are concerned, we should never rise above the place from where they take their raw materials. God forbid that we ever develop the capacity to beneficiate these raw material or to even have any use for them ourselves.
Yeah.